What's up, guys? You're listening to Staying Uncomfortable. My name is Kyvan, and I'm your host. Staying uncomfortable, it's all about the mindset. It's about how do you become a better version of yourself. It's about how do you do the things that you don't want to, but you know that you have to do them in order for you to get to where you need to. Remember, nothing is impossible. You can have anything you want in life. It's going to require hard work. It's going to require you to show up every single day, and it's going to put you in very uncomfortable places. That's where magic happens. Remember, this is where growth happens. Welcome to the show.
And welcome back. And to our new listeners, welcome to Staying Uncomfortable. And if you're a weekly listener of the show, we would love if you leave a review. It helps us get discovered more into the podcast, iTunes, and Spotify. So without further delay, obviously this is not a regular setup that we usually have, but today we're going to talk about one place that you really should visit when you feel like you're not where you are in life.
Yeah, and that's the hospital and the emergency room that you had the pleasure of visiting 2 days ago.
Yep. And I think it made me realize a lot of things, right? Like, hey, when I walked in here, I was like, oh my God, I have so many problems. I have so many things. And once you actually get in here and you start looking and observing, you realize your problems are not even close to what somebody else is dealing with.
Yeah, it's that one image that we talked about, right? Where a guy who doesn't have legs is looking at a guy who has legs and wishing that he had that.
Yeah.
And then the guy with the legs has no, shoes on, and he's wishing to have shoes just like the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy that has shoes is comparing himself to the guy who has a bicycle, wishing that he had the bicycle. The guy with the bicycle wants the car, right? So it's where are you in that journey of life? Are you just constantly looking up to what you don't have and where you want to be? Or do you also take time to look around you and then look down to realize how far you've come up and what you do have and focus on that versus what you don't have?
I think we tend to usually focus on what we don't have versus really taking a step back and thinking about what we really do have. And it's something hard to do. It's not something that's very easy. It does take practice to understand, oh my God, I'm very happy with what I have, but yet I still want to go ahead and get this as well.
Yeah. And a lot of times people don't realize, I think Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
He talks about the rich people not wanting to let out their secrets to the poor because the poor will always be poor. And there's a reason for that. It's they're not willing to put in the work, right? So when you do compare yourself to somebody that has it all, know that most of the time it's because they've put in the work.
Correct.
To have the body that they want, to have the money that they want, to have the job, the career, the business. It all took that sweat equity to build what they have today. So if you want to get there, you have to put in that work. It's not just going to come to you.
No, for sure. And I think that also goes along with something that you and I have been constantly talking about, which is also takes a little bit of time, is the gratitude part, right? I know for me, it's very hard to wake up in the morning and write things down on a piece of paper saying, oh, I'm grateful to be alive today, or I'm grateful to be able to breathe today. So what I've done for me that works very well is that I've got this little rock that I carry in my pocket. And every single time I touch the rock, it's like I want to be grateful for something. So even if it's just me saying, hey, I'm grateful for having a meal earlier this morning, or I'm grateful for being friends with somebody else, just small things kind of continuously reminding me of throughout the day that how grateful I am of everything that's around me.
So when you were in the ER and then when you got admitted here, what were the thoughts in your mind of, did you think about gratitude at that point?
Of course. Are you kidding? Like at this point, if you don't, you're like, no, of course I thought about the gratitude.
And most people may not, right? Most people may complain, like, why me? Like play victim and be like, this shouldn't happen to me. I need to do this. And why me? So versus you had a different perspective.
Yeah, I was like, this is great that's happening because it's saving me from happening something else even bigger. And I'm happy that I'm here right now. And I know that with time it'll heal and I'll be back to normal.
Yeah, that's tough. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm the guy that I can't write either. I don't think I'll ever just be able to write what I'm thankful for. I just think about it, and now it's a habit, right? These habits need to be cultivated. They don't just happen. You have to do it every day. Make a conscious decision every day to build that habit so that at some point it will feel weird that you don't do it.
And you're at that point now, right? As you're saying that I can't leave my house without actually writing and doing my gratitude practice. Otherwise, it feels weird to you.
Yeah, it feels really strange leaving the house. Now it's, making sure, are you dressed enough to show yourself to the world? Are you, did you say your thanks for everything you do have? Thanks for the shoes. Like, I was able to afford these shoes. I love shoes. And so I got those shoes.
Yeah.
So just the little things. There's so many things to be thankful for. It's like when people say, I don't know what to be thankful for. And it's like, I just want to shake them up. Like the fact that you're in America, let's say, is that in itself is something to be thankful for, right?
You talked about, which I found very interesting. You and I were talking about the 1%. I think if you can share that knowledge and information with the listeners, I think it helps them understand that if you're in the States and if you're in America, you are living it the finest possible way you can. And would love to have you share the numbers that you were telling me about.
Yeah. So we always talk about the 1%, right?
Yeah.
We talk about 1% in the United States. And I think that wealth is like $440,000. So that's only the United States. Now we take the world, and if you want to be classified as a 1%er in the world, your salary or income needs to be $32,400.
Wow.
So if you make more than that, you are in the top 1% of the world. You don't realize the luxuries that you have here, right? We were talking about in the Indian newspaper, they have smog levels on the newspaper.
Yeah.
In China, you see in the news, they're wearing their masks, right? That's because of the pollution. You don't realize how good of air you have in this country. You take that for granted. Your lungs are messed up right now. You can imagine good air, very necessary right now.
Yeah.
Right? So we take all these little things for granted. We don't have that perspective of what you do actually have and what you can be thankful for. And another hack we talked about was just changing your phone, right? How many times you check your phone.
That's true.
What about having some sort of a message that pops up every time you check your phone that just says, be thankful, smile, just something like that. And I know that may be kind of corny. Nobody else needs to see it every time.
But these are the constant reminders, right? But these are the constant reminders that we all need to help us remember that, hey, be thankful for what you have today. You can always get more. You can always have more. You can have so much more. But what you have today, be thankful for, because what you have today is somebody else is wanting what you have today.
Yeah. And we keep focusing on what we don't have and what we don't want. And that brings us to the goal setting.
Correct.
Right? Is we're always just pissed off about, I don't like this. I don't want this. Look at her butt. Look at his thing. And we're criticizing constantly. But it's like a car. You have a car and you're driving. And if you don't put a destination in your nav, you're just going to keep driving anywhere and you'll never be happy. But if you know what your points are, you need to stop at point A, point B, point C, point D. And that's how you map out your life. You'll know exactly where you're going, and it will feel so fulfilling every day to know that you made progress towards whatever destination you're heading towards.
And I think that also takes a lot of practice and patience as well, right? Because in today's society and world, people want instant gratification. Well, I've been doing this for 4 years. Well, why haven't I received this? Right? I've been doing this for this long. I think having those goals and knowing that it's going to take you not just a couple months, but could be a couple of years based on how big your goals are, and being able to be patient and being able to show up every day to pursue those goals is what also is required.
Yeah. And then appreciate the fact that you had the opportunity to go after your goal, right? So we talked about if somebody wants a flat stomach, how about you do a 30-second plank every morning? That's it.
Yeah.
30 seconds. And then when you go to bed at night, you think about, did I make progress towards my goal of getting a flat stomach? Yes, I did a 30-second plank this morning. Tomorrow, do it again. Maybe next day, maybe in a week from now, do a 45-second plank.
Yep.
You're getting closer and closer towards your goal. That in itself is something to be thankful for. And also, you'll just feel so fulfilled when you go to bed because you made progress towards your goals.
Yeah. And it's hard. I get it, right? It's hard. But that's why we need all this constant reminder. So wherever you are in your journey, whatever you're trying to achieve, remember that it's very important for you to write your goals down. And from time to time, you have to look at them and say, hey, are these realistic? If not, like, you got to pivot. That's one of the most important part as well, is that if you don't learn to pivot, you're going to work towards something that you're not going to be able to achieve.
Yeah, and you don't need to map out your 50-year goals, right? If that seems too grand and large and you can't wrap your head around this, try to go, what's my 1-year goal? What do I want to look like physically in 1 year? Where do I want my career to be in 1 year? What kind of relationship do I want to attract? Or what kind of relationship am I in that I want to enhance? And if 1 year is too big, try to go 6 months. What do I want to be in 6 months? If that's too big, go 3 months, right?
Yeah,
like
90 days.
You have the option to choose whatever you want, however you want to do it. There is no instruction manual to life, right? We can make it up ourselves.
Yep.
Why is it so complicated?
I think we make it complicated. I think we start comparing ourselves to other people. We start looking for things that we don't have. We always start doing things that we don't have. But think about if you focus on what you have already, how happy would you be?
Yeah. It's and I believe Jim Rohn said this, right? He's like, you know, a lot of the things that I want to do in life are very easy to do, but they're also very easy not to do. And then if you think about when you talk to people, right? Yeah. We're all really, really smart. Like, we are actually all really smart. And everybody knows what to do. Everybody's like, I know I should be doing this.
Yeah.
But then you just don't do it. And that's the downfall of why you are overweight, why you don't have the career, why you're not making that money, because you already know what to do. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do, but then they don't do it.
Do it, yeah. I mean, that's when you need to show up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's easy not to do.
Very, very easy not to do. And, you know, that brings us to one last closing point, which is, you know, for me, being in this position and being in this situation made me realize, holy shit, how lucky I am, dude. How lucky I am that I'm able to go through this experience in life and being able to learn from it and make sure that this doesn't happen again to me or anybody else. So therefore, I'm sharing this with everybody, right? I don't need to record this podcast sitting here, but I'm hoping that at least 1 or 2 people might listen to this and say, wow, I need to start doing this XYZ. So therefore, I never have to go through that in life as well. And when I walked into the ER room, I was like, man, there are people who are in worse situation than I am. And you can see how unhappy they are.
Yeah.
And if you feel that you are unhappy and your complaints are, oh, my ex-boyfriend did this to me, or, oh, I got into a fight with my coworker, or I don't like my boss, I don't like this shit, I would love for you to go and spend an hour or 2 in ER and just sit there. You'll put a life in perspective for you, where your problems are nothing compared to what everybody else is dealing. Everybody else has a fucking problem. You have 15 problems. Everybody has problems.
Everyone. It's the journey of life, right? And it's I think one thing that's happened to you, Kaivan, kind of a little minor pivot here is mortality, which is, we talked about this. If I were to die today, would I be proud of the life that I've lived so far? Right? And we talked about this, and you were like, you know what? I've lived a great life. Like, I've done a lot of things. And up until then, before you got admitted, we used to talk about this too. Like, you're like, man, I have so much to do. I've got an empire to build. You know, we talk about all these grand dreams that we have that we want to achieve. But when our mortality is questioned, you kind of go, okay, have I done everything? If I were to die today, did I do everything? Did I live like the person I'm capable of living as? Did I do the things? Did I love the way, you know? So you really start questioning how you've lived. And then now you, again, go into the, well, if that's not it, I know how I want to live moving forward.
For sure. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just remember, everybody's got problems. You just got to work on your problem and not compare yourself to other people's problem. And trust me, if you go to the ER and sit there for 2 hours, you'll get shitted out for you.
Yeah, and it's a free trip. You can go to the ER. You can walk into any ER you want. I mean, even a minute of being there will absolutely change your perspective of your life.
Cool. Till next time, thank you guys for tuning in.
And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Staying Uncomfortable. As always, if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, please reach out to me at Kaivan Dave across all social media platforms. And I would highly appreciate if you can follow us along at Staying Uncomfortable as well. And remember, just because it's hard does not mean it's impossible. This is where growth happens.